With the recent Year of the Dragon announcement, we have received some incredible news on the newly updated arena format. For the first time in Hearthstone, we will see 2 rotating sets throughout each expansion. According to the update, the first set will include Basic, Classic, Curse of Naxxramas, Whispers of the Old Gods, Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, the Witchwood, and the first expansion of this year. There's a lot to talk about with this update, but today we'll focus on the most impactful cards of these old sets to get you prepared for the new arena meta. Before we begin, there are a few things to take note. We'll not be discussing legendary cards in this video, as you'll not see them that often in arena. For example, currently the most commonly seen legendary card, Undasta, only appears in 4% of all arena decks. Conversely, since there's a lot of neutral cards to discuss, this video will only focus on most impactful class cards. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's begin with Warrior. In these sets, the strongest Warrior card is Death's Bite. This is arguably one of the best weapons to ever be released, as it does so much by itself. The Death Rattle effect forces the opponent to play around it, which will cause them to play slower. The other premium cards to note are Ravaging Ghoul, Warpath, and N'Zoth's First Mate, all of which offer a form of removal while being strong standalone cards. A notable observation is that Warrior is lacking big taunts and value generators, which makes it hard to draft for control. Warrior's new playstyle should try to maximize tempo by playing minions and weapons on curve to pressure the opponent before they can stabilize. One last mention goes out to Grimy Gadgeteer. This card will single-handedly win you games if it sticks for more than a turn, as its effect will snowball out of control. This Tempo Warrior archetype will surely find its way back into Arena and will be really fun to experiment with. The next class is Shaman. Thrall received a lot of premium cards and is likely the most fun class to try out in the upcoming expansion. Why? Because Evolve is back. While the effect was still here in the form of Unstable Evolution, we will now get Evolve, Master of Evolution, and Devolve back into the mix. Remember the good old days of Evolve synergy alongside Doppelganger or Big Time Racketeer? Well, you get to experience that once again. Additionally, Shaman will get their 4-mana 7/7 back with his good friend Thing from Below from Whispers of the Old Gods. In Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, they also received Jade Claws and Jade Lightning to further enhance their mid-game dominance. All in all, there's a lot of fun stuff in store for Thrall, and we can't wait to try the class out. Up next is Rogue. Unfortunately, Rogue didn't receive as many premium cards as Shaman did. In Old Gods, you'll see the return of Shadow Strike and Undercity Huckster. Their effects are essentially cheaper versions of Walk the Plank and Blink Fox. This will give Rogue access to more removal and value generation. Finally, Lotus Assassin is a premium 5-drop that can help secure the mid-game. None of these cards are particularly strong to the point of being imbalanced, so Rogue will largely feel the same unless the new expansion significantly changes Valeera's identity. Paladin is another class that will play remarkably similar to how they currently do now, being proactive and playing minions on board until you can activate your finishers to close out the game. The interesting addition here are hand buff cards. A Paladin deck that consists of a good early game curve can just run away with a game by continually buffing their minions. These cards are different than Arena Fanatic in that they provide way more tempo for their mana cost. Another card to note is Avenge. This secret effectively stores tempo, as giving +3/+2 should cost about 2 mana. Oftentimes against Paladin, you have to try and clear their board, and them buffing something out of the range of an AoE can be huge. Cards like Sound the Bells and Grime Street Protector will be very strong in a new meta where a bunch of AoEs deal 5 damage. Up next is Hunter. Unfortunately, Rexxar will lose a lot of premium early game tools, and it'll be very difficult to tell if Aggro Hunter will survive the shift. In turn, there are a bunch of decent mid-range options with cards like Shaky Zip Gunner and Dispatch Kodo being added to the pool. Call of the Wild will likely be too weak, as the 9 mana cost prevents you from hero powering alongside it. Overall, Hunter can still pressure the opponent, but most of their cards are curve minions and lack enough impact to be remembered. We're hoping the new expansion will release an early game weapon for Hunter to thrive with, thus potentially keeping Aggro Hunter alive in the arena. A similar problem exists with Druid. With Ultimate Infestation, Naturalize, and Poisonous minions rotating out, their only viable strategy will rely on flooding the board and utilizing small buffs to finish the game quickly. Other than small board buffs, you'll see Beast Synergy a bit more common with Mark of Yusharaj and Vermin Sensei added back. We hope the new expansion brings something new for Malfurion, as the current pool can definitely use some more oomph. Now, we finally get to talk about one of the biggest winners of the rotation, Warlock. Warlock may be losing Defile, Despicable Dreadlord, Demon Bolt, and Omega Agent with this rotation, but it also gains so much more with the old sets. Abyssal Enforcer was the boogeyman back when Mean Streets of Gadgetzan was released. A 6/6 body that has Hellfire attached to its battle cry is no joke, even on turn 7. It can completely wipe your existing board and then leave you with a 6/6 to deal with. If there is one impactful card you want to play around in these old sets, it's Abyssal Enforcer. Additionally, Gul'dan gains Blast Crystal Potion, Fellfire Potion, Doom, and Void Caller. It's almost as if they actually gained more tools than they've lost. Warlock is in a great position to dominate the new meta. With 2 classes left, we'll talk about Mage. Jaina will be losing Meteor and Blast Wave, which is a significant loss to her arsenal. Instead, she gains a bunch of small board clears with Volcanic Potion and Twilight Flamecaller. Kabbalist Tome is also back, but Blast Wave was essentially a Volcanic Potion with Kabbalist Tome attached, making the gain feel much less relevant. There's also a chance that we see Faceless Summoner banned in Arena as it was previously when the set was active. All in all, we will see Mage go back to its control roots, as there aren't that many tempo-driven cards that'll be played. The biggest winner from the first rotation is Priest. They will receive a tremendous amount of control tools, making them very dominant. Potion of Madness is insanely powerful early game, and there's also Dragonfire Potion as a large board clear later on. These 2 cards are the most impactful additions and are oftentimes very difficult to play around. At the same time, they'll receive very strong curve minions that have a bonus effect attached to them, such as Cabal Talon Priest and Draconid Operative. In Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, the class peaked as a top 3 arena class because of all these cards released in the same set. Priest will also be receiving strong cards from other sets that'll help them rise to the top. To round off our discussion, let's talk about the tri-class neutral cards. Among these cards, every class will have a Discover effect in the form of Cabal Courier, Grime Street Informant, and Lotus Agent. These Discover cards are very strong, as you can find premium cards from 3 different classes. Mage, Warlock, and Priest will also have Cabal Chemist with multiple strong potions that can swing the board significantly. We anticipate the meta will be fairly value-oriented because there are so many good control tools in classes such as Warlock and Priest. In conclusion, we think that Warlock and Priest are the real winners of the first rotation. It's too early to tell who will actually be on top though, as we've yet to see the cards from the next expansion. We hope you enjoyed our take on the most impactful cards being re-added to the arena. Which cards are you most excited to play with again? Comment below, and as always, like and subscribe for more quality Hearthstone content. See you next time!